If I might introduce Rebecca Miano, OGW, Managing Director and CEO of KenGen. She is the first woman Managing Director and CEO since KenGen's incorporation in 1954.
I come from a large family, a family of 14, plus then 2 mothers and a father. That makes it 17. By all means, I was number 13, which is second last. And those who say that number 13 is unlucky, we can have a little chat. And I was born in a cold place, highlands of Mt.Kenya. And that gave me a lot of problems in my early childhood because I used to have a lot of issues, tonsils, colds, running noses, you know, all those kind of things that come with a cold for a little girl who had no shoes and warm clothing. And so I think after class 1 and class 2, it was apparent that that was really affecting my life. And my father then, who was a civil servant, was transferred to a warmer part of Kenya in the Rift Valley. And he decided to take this girl who was sick to a warmer place. And that sorted out my problems. At that time, I started doing very well in school. But just when we settled in class 4, he got another transfer. And he decided he needs to leave me somewhere because his career was such that he could be transferred all over Kenya anytime. And so he got a boarding school for me in class 4. And I was taken there. And between me and my box, we were not sure who is bigger than the other. But I landed there. Worked very hard. At that time, it was clear, at least I was talented in terms of education, very decent grades, leading in many exams. And that time, we did the CPE in class 7, did very well among the top 3 in the school. And I joined a school, not a very high school, not a school in Nairobi, but further away from the family, further from my mother, who had let me go in class 2. Class 4, she had to let me go to a boarding school. After class 7, she had to let me go to a far-flung school. And even as I finished school, she never knew where I schooled because she never visited. Her role was, at the beginning of the term, to take me to the bus stop, some little pocket money in addition to what my father had given me. She used to give me secret more coins. And so I went there from 1 to up to 4. I did 4th form. Again, emerged the best student, not only in the school, but in that region. Then I had to join Form 5 to continue with high school. But at that point, I had come across people who knew more than I did, and they told me there was a school in Nairobi called Kenya High. And I said, since I had done well, I wanted to go to that school. But the headmistress of my previous school had made arrangements for me to continue in my old school. So my father took me back to the same school. And I decided, no, I have to go to Kenya High, wherever it was. I had never been to Nairobi. And I wrote my father a letter telling him I will discontinue school if you don't take me to Kenya High School. Ladies and gentlemen, till today, the reply hasn't come. My mother told me the letter was received because I had posted it, I had put a stamp, the letter was received. The reply never came, and it will never, because things have moved on, and my late father now cannot write a letter. And so I did my exams in high school, did well. I was admitted to Nairobi University to do law. At that time, career choice wasn't a big deal. It was just a cutoff. If you get marks between this and this, you take this course. And so I was among the people who had qualified with good marks, and then I was admitted to take a law degree. So I landed in Nairobi. The Nairobi I had so desired in Form 5. When I landed, I was intimidated. I hated the Nairobi that I had loved, because I found things I had never seen. My classmates in law school were from all over, and it was clear, this lady, she comes from somewhere else, but maybe not Kenya, because I was really green. You know, that kind of green that Safaricom puts in their logo. That's the green you can associate with me when I joined university. But anyway, I did well. I graduated with a law degree, and I decided to venture into law practice. I went into a law firm, a young lawyer. You know the lawyers' dress codes, black suits, blue. I had none of those. I had some random things that kept you dressed. And one day, my boss sent a message that I had to go and represent him in court, take a brief, because he was not available. And so I obeyed, and it was High Court. And I went, our case was called, and I stood up. And there was this judge in specs. He lowered the specs like this. He said, "Young lady, were you loitering in Nairobi and found yourself in my chambers?" I was so shaken, I said, "Yes." The case could not continue, because how can a loitering young lady from the streets of Nairobi end up in a judge's chambers and be allowed to prosecute a case? So I went back, shaken for the rest of my life by the courts. From that day, I looked for a job in corporate world. And as I shared this story, a certain lady told me she thought she was a good musician, and she went for some auditions. After she sang, the judge said, "I did not hear somebody sing, I heard a frog croak." And I want to tell leaders, and it is my determination, never to undermine people who are trying the best in their circumstances, people who cannot afford a suit, people who are trying to sing. Those are the people to encourage. Never mind, there are times the discouragement then ends up being a gift and probably gives you a better opportunity than you'd have had if that judge did not tell you off, if that musician did not tell that young musician off. And that's how, between me and the courts, of course, if I'm sued, I'll go. But going to prosecute cases, I was disqualified at my first attempt. It looks like I have better things to do. And so I looked for a job, tarmacked, ended up at Kenya Power and Lighting. I was given a job as an assistant legal officer, where I tried my luck, worked a bit. I got a scholarship to go to Australia in Brisbane for further studies. And when I came back, there was restructuring in the power sector. I got an opportunity to be taken to KenGen. But there's another little story there. At that time, the best people would remain in Kenya Power and Lighting. The others, including those who have been abroad, including those that the judges had chased away, they were sent to KenGen. You know, when you throw away that bin thinking you're just cooking the nice ones and you throw out, then they later grow into beautiful plants. I am a product of that. And did my best with determination, served in every position there was in my career: legal officer, assistant legal officer, senior officer, company secretary, eventually the legal director. And so, looking at my history, when this job was advertised, so many things came to my mind, including the judge. I was doubting myself a bit, all those experiences, the tonsils, all those things. But I tried. I am a product of a fair system where you apply for a job, you try your best, you're interviewed, and you're given the job. And so I think for the last 6 months, I have been in that position. But that story alone is not enough. I wanted just to share very briefly some of the things that I have worked on, some of the habits, some of the success markers that have worked out in my life. First, I have looked for people who cared, mentors, people who supported me, to just give me the strength and to encourage me. That's one of them. But then I decided to work on my clarity, to just sort out who I am once and for all, despite what I had gone through. So I worked on my clarity, worked on my courage and confidence. I intentionally work on my energy. I want to remain energetic to do what I have to do. I've put in place practices that make me productive because I want to be a high performer. I work on all those things. I concentrate on influence to see how I want my life to influence other people, either at home, social circles, or even at work. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that's the simple story. I've looked at the successful people, tried to understand the magic mojo around them, tried to emulate here and there, and that little story has brought out the product you see today. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Did you see those moments when the judge said that? Did you see that as a transformative moment, or you saw it later as a transformative moment?
On that day, I don't think I slept well. It wasn't a good experience. You know, judges are really harsh. I was barely 24, 25. That was a very big shock for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can imagine.
And the only mistake was that I couldn't afford the dress code for a lawyer. I had a random thing I had picked from the second-hand market that did not qualify to give me any encouragement. And so, yes, I am a lawyer and a good corporate lawyer. I've decided to be an engineer by pretense, by practice, and by association.